Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 10-Minute Book Talk. I'm Katherine Reay, and I'm here with Marie Bostwick and Rachel Linden, your host every Wednesday. And today we have a really special treat. This is The Secret Book of Flora Lee by Patti Callahan Henry. It just launched yesterday, and you are in for such a treat with this story. And we're in for such a treat to talk with Patti about it. So welcome, Patti. We are so happy to have you here. And I know that you are incredibly busy. So I really want to thank you for spending some time with us. Tell us a little bit about your new story.
Okay, first I have to say thank you for having me. I'm a two-timer on the 10-Minute Book podcast or show. So I feel very honored. Maybe there's a special group of us who got to come on twice.
You get a
Like
jacket
a special
the
club.
third time, like SNL.
Yeah, there you go. Then I get a special treat. But I'm really honored to be here. So, The Secret Book of Flora Lee. The year is 1939, and we are in Bloomsbury, England, right outside of London. And the edict has just come down from the government called Operation Pied Piper. And what this is they are sending all children away from the big cities to the country to be safe from the expected incoming German bombs. So this is 1939. We meet the Linden family, the mom, the daughter Hazel, who is 14 years old, and the little sister Flora Lee, who is 5 years old. They have a very idyllic life in Bloomsbury till the war shows up. The edict comes down and they are sent away. And y'all, this happened. They sent 800,000 children in 4 days, a logistical miracle. 800,000 children were sent from the major cities to the countryside in 4 days, with a knapsack, a luggage tag around their neck that showed their names, a gas mask, and a postcard to send to their parents when they arrived wherever they were going, because nobody knew where they were going. You would send your child off not knowing where they would go. Mm-hmm. Hazel and Flora Lee were lucky. They ended up in Oxfordshire in a small little hamlet called Binsey, right outside of Oxford, England. They ended up with the Aberdeen family, a mother named Bridie and a son named Harry. During all of this time, Hazel, the older sister, is keeping Flora Lee, the younger sister, calm by making up a fairy tale world that only the two of them can go to. It is a world where they can be anything they want to be. A squirrel, a fox, an owl, anything they want, and they are safe. And it is called Whisperwood and the River of Stars. They tell the story at night, in the woodlands, in the riven tree, and it is a secret between the two of them. It is actually in many ways a fine year for them because they are in this very storied hamlet. It is a real place where Lewis Carroll wrote much of Alice in Wonderland, where there is a magical well, there is a chapel of St. Friedwald of Oxford, and then the Blitz happens. But they're safe in Binsey, and then the unthinkable happens, and 5-year-old Flora Lee disappears. She had been playing by the river's edge. The River Thames runs right through Binsey, and she disappears. Hazel blames herself. She believes that Flora Lee went to look for Whisperwood. 20 years goes by. The year is 1960. London has changed. The war is long over. Hazel still blames herself, and she is working in an antiquarian bookshop in London when a package comes through the back door. She opens it, undoes the parchment paper, unties the red ribbon, and inside she finds an illustrated fairy tale by an American author called Whisperwood and the River of Stars.
Yes, I got chills. I got chills when I read.
That's what it's about.
That's when you describe it. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So, Patti, I have to say, I enjoyed your contemporary fiction. And then you started with historical, with Becoming Mrs. Lewis, then Once Upon a Wardrobe. And I have to tell you, The Secret Book of Flora Lee is even next level from that. It is gorgeous writing. But what inspired the shift over to historical from contemporary?
Yeah, and there's also Surviving Savannah was slipped in there, which is
right.
that was a.
But you enjoy that one.
Yeah,
yes, Lewis meant to me, so of course I picked up on the others.
And so this is my fourth novel in the historical fiction category, and I've won short story and Audible original about Florence Nightingale that is out there too. So I wrote that. But like you, Katherine, once the historical fiction bug bit me, it was over. And what happened for me is it wasn't a very deliberate change. I'm not very deliberate about, I don't set my 5-year goals and my 10-year goals. And when I get here, I want to be this. What happened is Joy Davidman, C.S. Lewis's wife, visited me. Not in real life, I'm not insane, but her story came to me and there was no way that I wasn't telling that story. I couldn't believe it hadn't been told. I felt like I knew her. She was this kind of vivacious, some people would say brash, I would say interesting Jewish woman. And I found out after I finished that book that it was historical fiction. And I just loved the research and diving into the past. And my favorite thing about historical fiction, I see no turning back, is finding a little piece of history that you can pull out that flips the story you think you know on its head.
So true. I mean, yeah. And you're right. The genre has bitten me as well. And I'm absolutely loving it. So I'm just so glad you're there because this is a piece of beauty. So
thank you.
All right. So I want to talk about England. I lived in England for a couple of years. I studied in Oxford for part of the time when I was in college. I've been to Binzie and I've touched C.S. Lewis's typewriter. Oh yeah. All the things. So I know why I love England, but I'm picking up as your books are going along. I'm thinking, oh, okay. Patti has fallen in love. Tell me why England and what is it that keeps drawing you back?
I don't know if we can really explain why we love a landscape. I've been to London, of course, many times through the years, but the first time I visited visited Oxford, I'm so envious you went to school there, or studied there, but the first time I visited Oxford was when I was researching becoming Mrs. Lewis. So this is probably 2015, 2016. And I had that thing that I don't have very much, where I felt like I had been there before, that I knew this place, that it resonated with me, that there was something. I don't want to move there or like pick up my life, but there was something very ancient and inherent and maybe it's because of the way I love Lewis, or because I love stories and mythology, or because I, was a Latin geek. I was in the Latin club, maybe, I don't know, but even more so, it's the countryside. Oxfordshire, Binzie. This year I got to go to Cornwall. And I did threaten to move there, but there is something so ancient and unspoiled and thick with history that I knew that I would write about it again and again. And of course, in Savannah, I wrote about America. And in the book I'm writing right now, there's a little bit of both. And even you're in Cape Cod, Massachusetts for a few chapters. But I love it there. And I feel like the stories that grow out of the soil and the history are really interesting to me.
Love it. Well, you and thousands and thousands and thousands, hopefully millions of other people.
There we go. Let's go for the millions.
Let's go for millions of other people.
So you did touch a little bit on how much you love myth. And I've seen, you talk about that a lot, about the importance of myth and like the origin of story and how myth and fairy tale are important because, yes, we immerse ourselves in an imaginary world, but in doing so, we come across some really enduring truths. So what are the enduring truths that you are trying to communicate in your book?
Love this question.
Wow. I don't know. It's very similar to the question of like, what do you want a reader to take out of your story? Right. And I am a big believer in the power of myth and legend, and having them told and retold and told and retold, because if you look at history, story is built on story, is built on story, is built on story, is built on story. And I think that if I'm trying to say anything, what I mostly want people to take out of the book is what touches them the most. But for me, this book especially, and also Once Upon a Wardrobe, are very much about the power of story in our lives and the power of story to make sense of the senseless, meaning of the meaningless. I always say this, that psychology has proven that if you ask somebody what they want, they will usually say, I want to be happy. I want happiness. But that's not really true. What they really want is meaning. What we really want, what I really want, is meaning. And one of the biggest meaning-making things we have in our life, there's religion, there's faith, there's family, but one of the ways that we make meaning out of our life is with story and narrative. And this book was very much an ode to story, and also an ode to the way that some stories show up when we need them.
Isn't that true?
Isn't it true?
Yeah.
Is.
Yeah.
It is.
Beautiful.
So before though we let you go with those great words of both wisdom and truth, what is bringing you joy today, Patti Callahan Henry?
Well, seeing y'all's faces made me very happy. You saw when I came on the screen, I was all frazzled, and then I got in a really good mood. I love seeing y'all. I wish it was in person. What's bringing me joy? I have to say right now, the response to this book, because as we're recording this, when you're watching it, it's already out, but when we're recording it, I'm 1 week and 5 days away. And the response and the kindness and the reviews and the pics, it's brought me, we put these books into the world, y'all. And sometimes they're received with love, and sometimes they're received with derision, and sometimes they're not received at all. And so today I'm going to be happy for the joy that it's being received today. Talk to me on another day. It might be different, but today.
That is a great way today, that living in the present, like C.S.
Yep.
Lewis, that present moment.
Yes.
Wonderful. Patti, thank you so much for spending time with us. And thank you all for joining us at the 10-Minute Book Talk. And we will see you next week for another author and another story. Bye-bye.
Bye.